Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of CCK Live. My name is Christian McTarnigan, and today I am joined with Bethany Cook and Caitlin Degnan, and we're going to talk about eye conditions. So we're going to start basically right from the beginning, which is a question that you guys might have, which is how can I get service connected for an eye condition? And we're going to focus on the two main ways. One way is direct service connection, and I'm going to talk about that briefly, and then I'm going to turn it over to Bethany to talk about the other sort of major way that you can get service connected for an eye condition, which is secondary service connection. So what is direct service connection? It might be the most straightforward way to get service connected, right? You get an eye injury in service, you have a current eye disability, and then there's a nexus or a connection between that in-service eye injury and the eye disability that you have now. And if you can meet all those three elements, then you should get direct service connection for that eye condition because it's directly related to an injury that you had in service. But that's not the only way. Bethany, you want to talk a little bit about secondary service connection?
Sure. So secondary service connection is a little bit different. Essentially, an eye condition can get service connected on a secondary basis if it's caused or aggravated by a separate condition that is already service connected. So for example, certain medications can cause eye disabilities. A major one coming up recently is hydroxychloroquine, which the Department of Defense has used as an anti-malarial drug for troops. This is one medication that can cause, for example, ocular toxicity, as well as issues with the corneas. Specific conditions like Parkinson's disease or erectile dysfunction have medications that can be linked to eye disabilities. So if you are service connected for Parkinson's disease or ED and are prescribed a medication that causes an eye disability, that eye disability might be able to get service connected. But just like you would need a medical nexus with direct service connection, you would also need a medical nexus linking your eye disability to the medication prescribed for your service-connected disability as well. Other examples would be blood pressure medications. They can be linked to worsening of glaucoma, for example, and veterans who suffer a TBI in service might also experience eye disabilities. So if you're service connected for a TBI and eye disability results from the TBI, you might be able to get service connected for the eye condition as well. Other service-connected conditions like diabetes, sarcoidosis, thyroid conditions, and multiple sclerosis, all of these can cause either changes in vision or eye disabilities. So if you do develop an eye condition secondary to any of these conditions and you are service-connected for them, then you might also be able to get service-connected for the eye disability on a secondary basis.
Many veterans are interested in what kind of eye conditions that they can get service connection for. Some of the common ones that we see are loss of one eye with reduced vision in the other. Veterans can also get service connected for a chronic conjunctivitis. Another frequent one is blindness in one or both eyes, impaired vision in one or both eyes, an unhealed eye injury, or dry eyes.
Yeah, so that's sort of maybe some of the most common ones. Certainly, there are a lot of other eye conditions out there. And, you know, so that's sort of the service connection part. So you can either get service connection because you have an eye injury in service, or you have another service-connected disability, such as diabetes, like you mentioned, Bethany, that then causes an eye problem. So the next topic that we want to talk about is, and something that you all might be interested in, is, so how do we get rated, right? So once you're service connected, then the VA has a duty to determine what rating you should get for that disability. So VA rates eye conditions on three main measurements. There's going to be the central visual acuity, the visual field, and then muscle functions. So Bethany, you want to talk about that first way, the central visual acuity?
Sure. So central visual acuity is the ability to distinguish shapes and details of objects at a given distance. So how focused or blurry something is. You can think of it as nearsighted or farsighted, both of which refer to a person's visual acuity. So How VA measures that is using the basic eye chart examination. Measurements of visual acuity range from 20/20 vision to 5/200. If a veteran's central visual acuity is worse than 5/200, they're considered to be blind. So VA rates both eyes together, so veterans are going to receive one combined rating. Veterans' ratings are based on their corrected vision, if it can be corrected, meaning they will be rated based on how good or bad vision is with glasses or contacts. So if you have 5/200 vision without using corrective lenses, but it can be improved to a better result, then VA is going to use the corrected result in assigning the rating.
Another method that VA will use to rate eyes is the visual field, which is the range of vision that can be seen when looking straight ahead, which includes peripheral vision without moving the eyeballs. So there's 8 meridians that VA will use to test the eyesight: upward, downwards, nasally, which is looking towards the nose, temporally, which is looking away from the nose, and then once midway between each of these. And the test will attach a number to each of the visual fields, which is then added together. Normal field of vision is about 500 degrees. So when a veteran's visual field does not match this, they're assigned a rating based on the extent of the vision lost.
Great. And then the last way that they would rate is, like I noted at the beginning of this part of the discussion, is muscle function. That's much easier to say than visual acuity. I don't know why I botched that. But anyway, basically I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's about how well the muscles of your eye move, and it's measured similarly to, visual fields. Just like the visual field chart muscles, tests, looking up, looking down, nasally and temporally. It's going to do the same thing, but how your eyes move. They're going to rate the eyes using scales that combine the measurements for both eyes. And something to keep in mind is, when you're going to get rated, you're going to need an exam. And it's important to know that only an optometrist or an ophthalmologist is qualified to take these measurements. So if, and this is something we remind veterans in all of these CCK Live presentations, is go to your exam. And if it is being conducted by someone who's not an optometrist or an ophthalmologist, that's something that you should write to VA about. That's something that you should complain about, because you're not getting an adequate examination if you're not getting it from those two qualified medical professionals. And so it's sort of like your general rating, if you get a 10 or 20% for your eyes, but there's also other types of compensation available for those with eye trouble, right, Bethany?
Yeah, so the major one is special monthly compensation. We can talk a little bit about special monthly compensation at the K level, which if a veteran is eligible for it, it would result in a small bump to their monthly compensation check. So a veteran is eligible for SMCK if they have physical loss of one eye, total blindness in one eye, and there are also many levels of higher SMC benefits a veteran also might be eligible for. For example, if they have total blindness in both eyes, then they would be eligible for a higher level of SMC. We have other CCK Live videos talking about SMC in especially these higher levels, so I definitely recommend taking a look at those to get more information about if you might be eligible for a higher level of SMC than at the K1.
And these are things that VA should be taking a look at really no matter what. If you satisfy the requirements, they should be looking at it. The fact of the matter is sometimes they miss it. And so it's helpful to know that you might be eligible for this additional compensation per month. So if, VA might miss it, then it's something that you can bring up and hopefully, have VA adjudicate for you. So before we close today, I just wanted to open it up to the group to see if there's any closing thoughts you all have or any tips for VA claims.
I would just reiterate how important exams are in this claim, especially as far as rating goes. Eye ratings are rated pretty mechanically. So it's very important in these cases to show up for your exam and to actively honestly participate in the examination to make sure that the person conducting the exam is getting, full and accurate ratings for your eyes. And then I would also say that, if I were to approach one of these cases, the first thing I would do is look at who conducted the exam and to make sure that it's a properly accredited person.
And I would just add that it can be difficult to get a Scheduler 100% rating, especially for an eye disability alone. So I would encourage veterans, if they're unable to work due to their eye disability, to look into other forms of compensation that might be available to them, like TDIU, which we've covered extensively in the past. But that is one way that a veteran can get compensated at the 100% rate if they're unable to work due to their eye disability, even if the eye disability doesn't warrant a rating of 100% on its own.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Bethany and Caitlin, and thank you very much for everyone who tuned in to this edition of CCK Live, and hope to see you again.